Welcome back to the Hot Seat. It's good to see you again. Tonight we're going to have a full program that's your program. And as I've always said, this is your hot seat. The experts sitting next to me. So ask your questions of them. And I'll do what I can to help. But the bottom line is, you know the format. I'm going to ask some questions first. First of all, Mr. Moss, will you please tell us about the name of your program and what it's all about?
Our program is called Ray of Hope Charity. We're trying to provide a second chance, a helping hand to homeless people.
Why?
Well, they need a helping hand. They need someone to reach out. There are many people out there who have lost hope, and they feel there are no programs available for them. I haven't identified many in the metro area. There are programs that pick up people at higher levels. They're usually private pays from insurance. You have to have a job, things like that. But when you have no address and are homeless, it's a very difficult situation.
How can you speak for that?
I've been there myself.
So you're speaking not just as a person who's running the program,
yes,
but a person who's been homeless.
Yes.
How long were you out there?
1 year, a little over a year, maybe 13 months.
And how did you get out of there?
Well, I didn't lose hope. Even in the midst of darkness, I believed, I prayed a lot, I drawed on every resource that I think that my parents and friends and relatives instilled in me over the years, and that's what helped me. My faith in the Lord is the primary thing. That actually spun a ministry that's operating now here in Metro Atlanta called Preach and Teach.
People say, I often hear people say that a person who's out there and homeless wants to be there. Is that the truth?
No, not at all. You have people who have been out there and who've lost their way, so to speak. It's a different environment. I don't know, it's hard to put my finger on. Let me just describe it as saying that when you have no identity anymore, your only primary concerns are what to eat, basically, and trying to be safe at night so people won't rob you or beat you, things like that. A job is very difficult to find because you don't have an address. There's no place to change clothes. You don't have a phone number. No one can contact you. So your primary concerns are feeding yourself every day or trying to find food, and many days you may not eat. So it really gets you down to basic instincts, survival.
I'm constantly approached because they know my face and they know my name by men and women who live out on the street.
Yes.
And they sort of have put me in a very embarrassing position. I can give on this corner, but before I get to the next corner, I'm surrounded by 3 or 4 people.
Well, people, I don't know, it seems as though people have a way of coping and learning to cope with their situation. I guess that's inherent in man. We are able to, men and women are able to cope with the situation and deal with it. Some people, as you mentioned earlier, they may not be looking for a way out. They may just be looking for a way to cope. And this becomes a lifestyle or a way of doing it, a way of surviving every day. They don't aspire to do anything higher because they've lost that ambition or hope. It's tantamount to, I guess, the American dream. You reach 20 or 30 years old and you start working. If you haven't been born with a silver spoon in your mouth and you don't have anyone else to pay the bills, you have to do it. And your dreams go bye-bye to a certain extent. For a big part of America, not everyone, that's the case. We wake up to reality and we get caught in a trap, so to speak, a rut.
How did you come up with the Ray of Hope?
Well, a Ray of Hope seemed most appropriate. We looked at many other names. We talked about it at length, and this is just something that provides the inspiration. There were many times in being destitute when you had no opportunity. I went 2 weeks without eating. Didn't have anything to eat. I drank water occasionally when I could find it. But I didn't know about the soup lines. And when I finally did, a friend of mine introduced me to one. My stomach, I guess, shrank to the point to where when I took my first bite, and it was very hard. I had gas for a little while. But a ray of hope, someone actually believing in you. Many people, and as I said, my story was a little bit different. Many people have had stories. I'm homeless because maybe it's drugs, maybe it's alcohol, maybe it's an emotional problem, maybe it's a financial one. Many people may be a couple of weeks from, missing a paycheck, and they could find themselves homeless very easily. A lot of people living a higher income lifestyle. It takes a lot more to live that lifestyle, a lot more productivity level. When you miss that a few times, it's easy to lose everything. Mine became because I came to Atlanta. I was not aware of Atlanta. I'd never been here before. And when I drove here, I parked on Trinity Street. My car was stolen and everything I had in it. I only stepped away for about 15, 20 minutes to find out where I was and try to find directions to a local hotel to stay that night. But I came back and I had no car, had no money, no resources. And that was in the Techwood Drive area, I guess, which now is called Centennial Park. This was 2 years before the Olympics, so it was still Techwood, very rough area. And I ended up, eventually, in about a month, I found temp labor. It was a very difficult situation, and it seemed as though there was not a system in place to help homeless people. People who had to find temp labor usually had to spend maybe $7 at Salvation Army. They charged you for a room there that night. You had to be in at a certain time, and that would provided a meal for you. And basically all your possessions, you had an opportunity to put them in a locker, but you had to provide the lock. When you've been working temp labor, maybe you've made $17, $18 that day. A lot of temp places take advantage of you. Maybe you've made a little bit more, but usually you don't have the resources. You don't have goggles. You don't have work boots. You have to rent those. You may have to pay the guy who took you and 5 other guys to work a few dollars for gas. So when you get your paycheck, you don't have very much. And that's a day-to-day struggle. But through that struggle, I was able to get better and better quality jobs throughout the year. Finally ended up working for Mayflower Movers. Very difficult, hard job, but I made a little more money. And I saved, got a city business license, became a consultant, and got back on my feet. Started to actually rent a room and then rent a house, and eventually I bought a house. But I didn't lose hope because I knew in my heart that the Lord was with me, even in my darkest
hour. Tell me about this question people are always asking me. Aren't the homeless people really lazy?
No.
And they're there because they want to be.
I would not say that's the case for everyone. I mean, a lot of good folks out there. I mean, people who, like myself, I've got 2 master's degrees, but we don't know what's going to happen the next day, or circumstances beyond our control may put us in that situation. I mean, I've had high-level jobs. I've been the president of 2 different companies. I've been a professional most of my life. I was a restaurant owner prior to coming to Georgia, and here I was homeless, and nobody believed my story. People looked at me and said, "Oh, you're not homeless." I tried to look as best I could, but you know what's going on, and people look at you differently. So I think people tend to judge by appearance a little bit much. And there are some people who use the system who are perpetually out there. And like I said, they've developed a knack of begging or asking, and they can make a lot more money. They don't have to, but whatever the circumstances is, but the people who are in their heart, they're really pure and honest. They have good motives. They want to try to not go into crime or rob anyone or steal, or they want to remain honest, and they feel like, hey, I can be a productive person. I can get back on my feet again if somebody would just give me a chance. They're looking, they're seeking. Not everybody's doing that, but there are some who are. And for those, we want to try to provide a second chance, a ray of hope, to show them that they can come into an organized program that helps homeless transition from that phase going into a sort of a second chance phase. To reach a person, you have to feed them physically. You know, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, food, shelter, clothing. Then you reach a job, then you reach self-acclimation and a family perhaps, and then hopefully very few, maybe 1% of the population ever achieves, the level where they can start giving back to society. You know, they have everything, the food, shelter, clothing, all those basics. Most people struggle with the basics. And when you lose that, we're out there.
Will Ray of Hope, in addition to providing temporary shelter, be providing anything else?
Well, we hope to be able to be a facility which will have clients in it for about a year's period of time. We hope to be able to provide job training. In that period of time, we'll get to know the clients. The people who are actually the counselors, the professionals who are running and administering the program, since it is faith-based, by people who have been homeless. Many of them have. The pastor, Carl Booker, has been homeless. He and I met each other when he was homeless. He wasn't a pastor then. But God changed him, turned his life around, turned mine around also. And we've helped build the ministry and build that. So we hope to be able to really get a deep introspective of these people and work with them and provide them a transition phase so that they can actually get the job training, the skills, the assessments that they need to identify them for certain programs, maybe help them to transition, get back on their feet, get back into productive lifestyles, get jobs, and that develops self-confidence. And pretty soon they're back on their feet, they're out there, not in the same environment. The other phase of our program is that we want to be able to provide housing, low-cost housing, affordable housing in different areas, and our counselors to follow people for years out, and them to always be connected with the program. Some have computer skills. Many, as I said, are professionals who've just been displaced or dropped out of it. You know, maybe got tired of the rat race and things like that, and just got tired of striving. Many have given up hope, and I did personally encounter that a few times. Know of a good friend, that gentleman that we both, Carl and I, met at the Salvation Army, who committed suicide. But he was a chemist from, I think it was Haiti, and he had a degree, but he didn't speak English very well, and he'd been homeless for about a year, almost a year and a half, and he just gave up. He ended up committing suicide.
Now, tell me, how do I deal with a situation like this, all right? I was going home in the middle of the day from my work, and as I came off the expressway, a guy was standing there with the empty gas can.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "Commissioner, I need your help. If you can just help me get my car started, I would be the most gracious person in the world." So I said, "Get in."
Mm-hmm.
And I took him down to the gas station and gave him $5 to get some gas. I had to go back to town. I came back to town, but on my way back, he was on the corner with that same empty gas can.
Right.
You know, you're going to have slicksters like that. How are you going to deal with those in your program?
Well, we have there are a lot of people who do use programs like revolving doors, and I think everything, I guess, which is benevolent or designed to help humanity, people can find a way to abuse it, but not all. There are some sincere folks out there, and we can identify those. It takes an experienced person to see that. And the people, as I said, I described earlier, in our program are people who have had similar experiences, who have been homeless, who've been there, and they have recovered, and they've gotten back on their feet, and now to lead meaningful lives, and maybe their recovery has been strong, 10 or 12 or 15 years or 20 years. Maybe they're recovering from drugs, alcohol, other things, other types of addictions, emotional, whatever. But they want to provide an example now to set, and they can recognize. Now, we can't see everybody. I know it's hard to discern exactly what's going on, but we just have to continue to pray and hope that God will change that heart at some point in time. Because eventually a person gets tired. You know, I think you reach a point to where your coffee cup is full and you're ineffectively coping with the situation. You can't cope anymore. And sooner or later, we're depending on God to deal with that heart and change it. And maybe they will change and decide to do something, get out of the state of denial, and finally, okay, I really want help, I need help, and then they're ready for it.
You mentioned the popular word is now faith-based.
Yes.
Now, GW, who is currently the President of the United States, has indicated that he's going to find ways to fund faith-based programs. Are you going to try to execute those funds?
We're going to try to apply for any help that we can get. We want to raise public awareness of our situation. If those funds are available for us without changing the nature of our program, sure, we want to move forward and try to see if we can apply for those grants and for monies that might be available to help us, because it's a rather extensive and vast program. We have a lot of work to do.
892-5614. 892-5614. If you want to talk to a man who has successfully crossed that barrier, give us a call. The question I want to ask next is, if you are successful in doing this, And I understand you have your eye on a place. That place is located where?
The place we're currently looking at is at Buford Highway and 285. We've actually been talking with the owners there, Imperial Management Group. The family's name is Shaws. They're Indian. We've been trying to negotiate a contract, which now we do have a contract. We have an intent to buy, a letter of intent to purchase. And it's based upon the money that we can come up with, and we're trying to put $250,000 down as good faith money. We've successfully gotten about half of that together. We're looking, trying to get more money to put down toward that. The entire thing, it's a 300-room facility, double occupancy. It will hold 600 people, so we can help 600 people.
And you said the duration of your program is how long?
360 days.
We'll be right back. Just a quick break.
Okay.
Just relax. It's all right.
Okay.
Just a statement from Dr. King.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And I'm not talking now about a weak love. It would be nonsense to urge oppressed people to love their oppressors in an affectionate sense. I'm not talking about that. Too many people confuse the meaning of love when they go to criticizing the love ethic. I'm talking about a love that is so strong that it becomes a demanding love. I'm talking about a love that is so strong that it organizes itself into a mass movement and says somehow, I am my brother's keeper. And he's so wrong that I'm willing to suffer and die if necessary to get him right and to see that he's on the wrong road.
Amazing. But Dr. King was basically talking about the same thing we're talking about tonight. How do you help your brother? Answering the question that raised in Genesis, am I my brother's keeper? And the question is, you believe you are your brother's keeper?
Yes, I believe we all have a responsibility to help each other. And at a basic level, I think too often in this society, people spend money and they live their life and they get comfortable in their environment and they forget about all the other people maybe they've met along the way who helped them in some point in time. And I think that they feel as if, well, you know, there's a hierarchy, there's a race. There's no race. This is life. We all have 24 hours a day. What we do with it is virtually up to us. God gave us that choice. But I think if we try to serve the needs of other people, we're actually serving ourselves. We're helping so many other people. We're serving humanity.
Did people extend their hand of fellowship to you while you were going through this period?
Very few, and it was amazing the people who did not, but it didn't really surprise me. Some of it did. I met a few people who were really instrumental in helping me to keep the faith. One lady gave me shelter. One family was able to give me some money, a couple of $100, which makes a world of difference. And these are the later stages when I was just about to get on my feet. And I'd shown enough, though, I demonstrated enough to show them that I was serious. My intent was to get out of this situation and better my lifestyle and try to do something about it. And I want to just go back and help others now.
How long have you been clean?
Well, I've not been homeless now for, I guess, going on 6.5 years, nearly 7 years.
It makes a difference to be on the inside, looking on the outside.
Well, it does. It really does. Because I was in that corporate arena before, prior to that, and I think I was up here, so to speak. And it's very tempting, very easy to forget about other people. When you're making money, and in my lifetime I've made salaries of over $180,000 a year. And I thought I was, I never thought it would end. And I wasn't thinking about the future so much because I had the means to carry me and I was doing okay and had a nice lifestyle. And I helped people, but it wasn't really heartfelt because I had never suffered that condition. I'd never been there, so I couldn't understand it, not like I do now. And now that I'm gotten on my feet, I want to be able to stay humble, to be able to help others, to be able to. I found the work that God has kind of defined for my life now because He's given me an opportunity to expose me to that, and I see what it's clear cut to me what I need to do.
Is there any bitterness?
No, none at all. None at all, because I think it's made me a stronger individual. It's shown me that I have the fortitude inside with the Lord guiding me to be able to make it. And that's the only ray of hope that I saw. That's the only real ray of hope.
Did you ever find yourself questioning God?
Not exactly. There were times when I guess out of my own anger, my lack of understanding, because I know we have a patient God, and He's the potter, and we're the clay, so to speak. So if we have to be broken again, or weeded out, or maybe put in the kiln again to make us a little stronger, you know, we have to go through those tests and trials because we're going to be something significant on the other side, something He can use as a strong tool that won't snap in the midst of the job.
Well, I want to thank you so very much for coming, and I certainly hope that the exposure will, if someone wants to volunteer, is there a place they can call now?
Yes, they can call our office. Our office number is 678-353-3266, or they can call me directly at 770-649-9496.
Get your pencils. We're going to go with that number again.
That's 678-353-3266 at our office. That's open through 6 p.m. in the evening, every day, Monday through Friday, or after hours, or you can contact me directly at 770-649-9496. And we'd appreciate any help and support from the public. We're trying to raise public awareness of our project.
Thank you. Real hope.
Thank you for having me.
It's a real pleasure, I promise you. We'll be right back. Taking a break.